I still remember back when this game was first announced and I was saying to myself, sweet, an anime game that's not just another arena fighter. Because it wasn't every day that you see these mainline shonen anime become a turn-based RPG. So seeing that Fairy Tail was going that route, it seemed like a really nice change. Plus with all the magic and wizard stuff, it sounded like a really smart move. But now that it's 4 years after release with a brand new game on the way, my opinions are a little bit different. See, I was never a big fan of Fairy Tail, but I always had respect for the 3 major series created by Hiro Mashima, going all the way back to Rave Master and most recently Eden Zero. That dude brings together action, comedy, and fan service in his own special way. And these series may not be on the same level as other anime, but Fairy Tail in particular is the series that people love the most. I did watch this series on and off years ago, and I'm not quite caught up on it. But funny enough, this game does cover enough of the series to bridge that gap between where I left off in the anime all the way up to where the first anime ended off. Normally you expect these kind of games to go over the whole story from the beginning, but nah, we start right after the 7-year time skip. So the main story covers everything from the X791 arc all the way up until the end of the Tartarus arc. But even after you get through that, they give you an epilogue with pieces from the Avatar and Alvarez arcs. So it stops right before the 100 Years Quest, which also just got its anime release not too long ago. But that also means that if you play this game and you've never seen anything about Fairy Tail before, then you might be a bit lost. But even still, they do a pretty good job of retelling the arcs that they have in here. There's a lot of cutscenes and dialogue between many of the characters. That's both in the main story and especially in the side missions, so you have plenty of chances to watch those bonds grow closer. And it makes a lot of sense when you remember how powerful friendship is in this series. Like some of the playable characters are even locked behind a bond level which you need to raise by doing special quests. So if you walked into this game only wanting to see your favorite characters talking, hanging out, and doing missions together, then you're totally in luck here. But as lighthearted as Fairy Tail might be a lot of the time, there's also a decent amount of fans who watch it for a different reason. Yeah, there's those fans of course, but I mean the ones who want to see the action, the magic, and the battles. But is the turn-based gameplay really enough to satisfy everything that those fans wanted from the very first Fairy Tail game? Well, first off, the gameplay here isn't something that's made completely from the ground up. It feels like another game series that's also developed by Gust. And that's the Atelier series that I always see people talking about. Well, I mainly see people talking about the Atelier Ryza games, and I even bought the first one on sale so I could try it out someday. And that was gonna be my first game in the series, but I guess this one might count as my first now? Outside of actual combat and building relationships, you need to build Fairy Tail back to the top of the guild ranking. And you can do that by finishing missions on the request board where you can get some other items and money too. But the best way to get those higher ranks is upgrading and rebuilding facilities. There's different ones like the shop where you can buy items and the lab where you can upgrade Lacrima crystals. But as you upgrade them, you don't just unlock new items, you also get stat buffs that carry into battles. So it's a good idea to switch your focus between the base building and the side quests if you want your teams to be as strong as possible. And finally, we can dig into the actual combat. It's a turn-based RPG with some unique mechanics that focus on chain attacks and combo specials. Outside of the normal attacks, everyone can use their own magic with different effects and elements. And the cool part is that every attack covers a certain amount of the battlefield, so you have the chance to become a little more strategic. And some magic has the ability to swap the position of your enemies and set up counterattacks. After a while, you fill up the fairy gauge that lets you chain together team attacks and end with a massive finisher. And finally, there's awakenings that every character can activate. It makes your attacks and magic much stronger, and depending on the character, you have options for more than one awakening. Some of them give a different form and some new moves to pull off, like Gajiel and Natsu in their dragon forms. I love the amount of variety they give us for these battles, and it's never too complicated to wrap your mind around. But even with that being said, I still wouldn't say that this is the best Fairy Tail game I could ever ask for. I will admit, halfway through playing the story, I realized that this game could have been better while still being an RPG. So I think the animations on attacks are straight up some of the best parts of fights, but actually planning out each turn got a little boring. And that's where auto battle comes in and completely saves the day. For the kind of shonen anime that Fairy Tail is, I'm pretty sure plenty of fans would have preferred this to be a fighting game. But in my opinion, it didn't even need to do all that. The magic and medieval style of Fairy Tail makes a lot of sense for the RPG format, but it would have been much better as an action RPG. And I know I'm hella biased on that because I prefer action games in general, but hear me out for a sec. Games like the Tales of series or the Mana series take what's great about JRPGs and gives you a more immersive experience. And that kind of thing would have probably made the typical Fairy Tail fan satisfied while still being able to stand out from most other anime games. They can keep the flashy animations and most of the mechanics wouldn't be that much different at all. And you know what's funny about all this? It's the fact that they're about to do exactly that thing in the second game. Now so far the second game looks like it's gonna be even better looking with updated models and new fight animations. But as of writing this, there isn't any real gameplay out there other than the Nintendo Direct trailer from June. But based on what I'm seeing in Gajil's fight, this completely throws the turn-based combat in the trash. Because you press Y for a normal attack and it looks like you can use at least 6 other magic attacks or specials at a time. They're even keeping the link attacks and letting you swap characters on the fly. So yeah, this is totally the direction this game should have gone in, and I'm shocked to see that they made those changes for the sequel. I'm honestly really excited to play that and see all the major changes that they're putting in. But going back to the original, I can't say much bad about it. It may not cover the entirety of the Fairy Tail anime, but it looks like it does a pretty decent job going over the arcs that it does cover. There's plenty of dialogue between characters, the base building is interesting, and I do think the mechanics are well thought out. Again, I wish it played more like the sequel is about to play, but it's definitely something different in the world of anime games. But maybe you have a different opinion and you can let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.